just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up, babe. Tonight we gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up.
Hey guys, live from Virginia, taking your heating and air questions. Wanted to start out tonight's show. First of all, just want to let everybody know tonight's going to be a quick show. I've got a lot on my plate this week, and so I just simply have a lot to do. And so, but I still wanted to, jump on here, get some questions answered. If you've never joined us before, there's usually some other pros on here smarter than me that can answer your questions if I can't. And so if you can hear my voice, I'm a little under the weather, but we're going to power through and make this happen. Tonight's show, we're going to start out with a really cool story I found that I thought was just kind of cool. Just, a little bit of a feel good story, unlike some of the other stories we talk about on our show sometimes when they're HVAC related. And this is about a local fella to Rockfield, Illinois is where the story's coming out of. And he's a first year apprentice. And at least when this was written, he was. I don't know, how far he is into his journey. Well, this says this was written just last month. So he's still pretty new. And he must be really liking his job. It says, Smart Local 219 sheet metal worker Josh Reynolds is a first-year apprentice who learned about the union from his friend, fellow member Isaiah Myers. After completing his pre-apprenticeship and starting his career at Local 219, he says the trade has already, quote, changed my life for the better. Read this before all, how to become a smart member submission. It says, quote, my buddy Isaiah Myers told me about Local 219, and I'd been trying to get into the field for a while prior. I came from website development and design and jumped straight into the sheet metal field. I haven't looked back since, and I loved every minute of it. I was lucky enough to get a spot as a pre-apprentice. I proved through hard work and dedication that I could be taught well and landed an apprenticeship as a first year, which I currently am. This journey changed my life for the better simply by introducing me to this trade. So pretty cool story. I don't know which one of these guys Josh is, but I just found the story and thought it would be a good little I don't know, a good way to, for folks that don't know our industry, to just kind of say, hey, there's some good things going on out there too. And so it's kind of cool to hear him say that it changed his life for the better. I actually have to say the same. I went to school to be an electrician, chase jobs, was working for a plumbing company for a while, and then I finally found heating and air, and it changed my life for the better as well. So I have to agree with him there. Hello to Bob and Gary, Steve, Gil, Larry, and Arch. Some of you guys that join us every week, good to see you. Those of you that if you're joining us for the first time, feel free to drop a question in the chat, and we will get those answered for you. Tonight's question, I know we do little segments. If you've never joined us before, we also do little segments around our show, just, little things here and there. One of the segments we have is called Josh's Question for You. And tonight's question is actually a play off of an event that I had happen today at my company. And my question to you is, how important is it to you, if you're a customer, if you're a consumer, how important is it to you that your technician, your person coming to your home that's going to be taking care of you, how important is it to you that they keep a clean van? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Comment in the chat. Does it affect your perception of that technician? Does it affect whether or not you want them even working in your home? Does it affect your perception of the company in general? I'd love to hear about that. It's one of the things we're dealing with at my company. So much so that I even told one of my employees that I'm going to take it on myself to clean one of these vans to show them that, number one, it's not something I'm above, but number two, it's important. It's important to me anyway. It's nothing worse than, to me, if I pull into a customer's driveway and, they see you get out of the van and they see you go to get a part or a tool and things are falling out of the van as you're trying to open the door and it's just a mess in there. To me, perception is reality. If they have the perception that you're sloppy and you don't care enough to take care of things, whether it's true or not, they have that perception, and sometimes perception is reality. I remember working at a van, down by the river. No, I remember working at a company that they would audit our vans every couple. Well, I think it was like once a month. They would audit our vans and they would sometimes make changes, sometimes fire people based on that. Sometimes I remember one guy got demoted. He had his own van and he was getting to take it home. And they said, nope, no more. You don't get to take a van home anymore. You can't take care of it. And so it's one of the things we're dealing with at my little company. And I think it's, to me, it's a big deal. It really is. Steve says, king of the trades. Bob says, most definitely. So Bob wants a clean van. Steve says, I always try to keep a clean van. I think, especially when you get busy, sometimes it's hard, that's different. If we're in the middle of July and I have a guy that ran 7 or 8 service calls that day and he hasn't had a chance to go to the, to the dumpster and throw some things away, I expect that. That might be, that's not what we're talking about here. The van I was cleaning today, we're finding receipts from 2020. It's just crazy. Larry says it's an indication of their professionalism, although I'm guessing many of the customers don't even look. It's a good point. Just because, I think that's actually a really good point. So I think that's probably why some guys don't seem to care. I think there is a level of unprofessionalism. There is a level of laziness to it, right? But it's also a level of, well, nobody will know, I'm not going to have the customer looking in my van is probably something that they're saying to themselves. So that's a good point. Arch says inspires more confidence that they're professional. It's a good point. I think that if they are keeping a clean van and they're, being professional, there is a level of confidence that you have in them then, right? It affects not just your perception of them, but your confidence in them. So that's a good point too. Mark says, absolutely. And Gil says a clean van is important. I agree with you there, sir. Yeah. I used to work at a van down by the river. I used to work at a company that when they would audit our vans, they actually, at that particular company, we had these really small box trucks is what they actually were. And they had a checklist that we would go through. And if it said you were supposed to have 3 contactors on that truck and you had 4 for one reason or another, you were supposed to remove that 4th one off the truck and put it in the shop. Like, they were very, to the T on a lot of this stuff. Good or bad, that's how they were. The other thing that they would do, because of this auditing and because of how stringent they were on it, the other thing I liked about it was it didn't matter if you went on my van or I went on your van, we both could find a part because they were set up the same way. They both had that we both had checklists we were supposed to abide by, and anybody and everybody could run out to a van and grab a part, and it wasn't a big deal. You didn't have to, move mountains and turn over a million rocks to try to find something hiding in that van. We all knew where everything was and where it was supposed to be kept. Gary says, my HVAC guys have cleaned Ford Transits, and yes, I do check. I had a carpet cleaner guy last year. Man, there was more papers piled up on the dash. Not sure how he could see. I heard somebody tell me once that's a pet peeve of theirs, that if they see somebody that uses the dash of the van as a storage space or as a place to throw papers or throw tools or wherever, that was a pet peeve of theirs, and they, it might affect whether or not they would do business with them, that it bothered them that much, whether or not they use the dash of the van as a place to keep things. I'm not that guy. I'm not, to me, as far as me and my employees, I think any of my employees would probably tell you that I don't micromanage, but they would probably, they would say that, for me, I want them to, again, it's perception is reality. I want them to, at least, if nothing else, have the perception that they're trying to do things right and they're trying to keep a clean van and they're trying to, take care of the customer's house. If the customer has that perception, even if you do fall short on something, if you got to that customer's house and you put booties on your feet and you are laying down drop cloths and you're doing absolutely everything you can to try to take care of their home, but then you still get a little smudge on the carpet, they might be less upset about it. And in fact, for personal experiences, I can tell you they are less upset about it because they knew you tried. You tried everything you could to take care of their home. It's usually they get upset when they think you're not even trying to take that, you just could care less about their belongings and their, and then that's when they get upset. Steve says he throws his safety glasses and hats on the dash. So he doesn't have that pet peeve. That's pretty good. Let's see. Let me see if I've got a goofy invention for you guys. Some of these inventions, I think I wrote them down, and now I'm drawing a blank on what exactly the heck I was talking about. Light. Oh, yeah. This is good. Okay. So our second segment of tonight is going to be our goofy invention segment. Tonight's goofy invention is, have you ever seen those lights that have the built-in exhaust fan in some of the bathrooms? So I'm not talking about the exhaust fan and then the lights in the center of it. I'm talking about the lights that you can't even really tell that the exhaust is a part of the light. Let me see if I can pull this up here. So these are the, like, kind of what I was talking about first. The exhaust fans with a light built onto it, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, I'm not even seeing it right now, but those lights that you can't even really tell that it's got exhaust. Well, probably like this, this one right here. Oh, here you go. This one. So these lights right here, how you can't really even tell that the exhaust, yeah, you can in this picture, but when you're in the actual bathroom and this ring is surface mounted on the ceiling, that you don't really know that this light is exhausting, you know, the gases, the smells out of that bathroom. And so my goofy invention for tonight is to play off of that a little bit. And if you were to add ventilation to a house with the same concept. So instead of exhausting out of a bathroom, but you're gonna add some sort of ventilation, filter the air from outside, maybe clean it in some way, have some really good, clean, fresh air you're gonna dump into that home, and then have a couple lights in the house in the most used rooms where you're dumping that fresh air. Um, Obviously, it's not unheard of. I don't even think it would be that hard to invent to have that product, but I just thought that would be a kind of a cool, goofy invention that I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Would you be interested in something like that? Would you add ventilation to your house through a light fixture? And if so, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's another one of my goofy inventions? Probably a goofy invention, as most of them are. Sorry. Let's see. Steve says looks like can lights. Maybe instead of can lights, those those small duct high velocity units like Unico and Space Pack make that have the round holes, but each one of the round holes have little LEDs, so it kind of looks like a nice recessed accent lighting or something, but it's actually blowing air into the house. That'd be, I don't know. Ryan says, did you learn about how the flare products work? I really want to force more air to a particular room, but how it works still confuses me. Ultimately, Ryan, how they explained it to me is if you have a room that's getting more air or the most air or something like that, that's the room you want to install their product on. And but further than that, to answer your question, I guess the answer to your question is no. I don't know that. So they're not going to have you install the puck in the room that you are wanting to push more air to. They are wanting you to install the puck in that room that's getting the most air. So that way, when those dampers close, it by default pushes more air to other parts of the house. At least that's how I understand it. It's a pretty cool concept, and it's actually amazing to me how elementary it is, but at the same time, cutting edge it is. So for those of you that don't know what he's talking about, we did a video on flare, and if you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. It's a pretty cool product. Ultimately, they have this unit that can have dampers on the registers that will open and close based on the temperature in the room, and you're able to fix a lot of duct problems we see today, whether it's a ductwork issue or a zoning issue. Their products can resolve a lot of those issues. And so let me get you guys the link, because we have a link where you can actually save money on some of their products. I think it's 10% if you use our link. So give me just a second. And they did sponsor a video, so I think I have to, by law, I have to disclose that. And we get I think we get a small commission as well every time you use our link. But you're going to get 10% off, so it's a win-win. Give me just a second. I'm going to see if I can find this link. Flare. Boom. And of course, on a live show is when you try to find this stuff, right? And then that's when that's when I seem to fall the shortest, fall the most, fall the quickest. Let's see. Bear with me. Here it is. And I'm going to put it in the chat right here for you guys. So if you click that link and go check out the, Flair's products, you'll get 10% off, I believe it is. Don't hold me to that. I think it's 10% off. So definitely check them out. Ryan, you were the one that told me you have, I think maybe you're not. Somebody told me that they have it in their house and they like them. I can't remember if you're the guy or not, but I've seen products that were like a small plastic disc in the ceiling that were not like that noticeable. Yeah, as far as flare goes, Ryan, they don't have the powered fans like some we have seen that. And I think those are great too. But what the difference is with flare, it's all kind of connected. So you could put these registers throughout the house with pucks in each room, and you're able to fix a lot of, again, the zoning problems and ductwork problems with this one solution. And it'll actually save you money compared to a lot of other, hefty repairs. Like, for example, just adding zoning to a system with 3 zones, the modules, the dampers, and all of that stuff could get quite pricey. That would be quite an investment on the equipment alone, not counting the labor that, that a contractor is going to charge you to put it in. Whereas with the flare stuff, you can put it in yourself. Take care of your health. A short show is better than no show. Thank you. Thank you. And Bob says he agrees with you. Yeah, it's been a bug going around. My daughter, who's only 2, she's had a fever of 103. And we took her to the doctor. We were about to take her to the emergency room. I almost canceled tonight's show, but we put her in the bathtub and gave her some Tylenol, did everything the doctor told us to do. And it came down. But if it got to any higher, 104, I think is the number. If it had got any higher, we were about to rush her to the emergency room. So she's just so little, Dead Aim, welcome to the show. Building as owner builder with multiple AC units in South Florida. Is there a way I can program the Daikin units to stagger startups after a power loss so they don't all come on at once, also known as a rush current? Well, if you're doing inverter systems, they shouldn't there won't be as big of a inrush current as you would normally have. I know what you're saying. So, power goes out, they all come back on, and now you've got this inrush of systems that are trying to come on. But I think ultimately, there are ways that you could, set it up to control it, as far as staggering them. And one that comes to mind is the delay, so if you do have single stage systems and they're not inverters, and you want to stagger them kicking on, then you can one way I can think of off the top of my head is you could set the delay for 2 minutes, and then have the next one for 3 and the next one for 4 or 5, or, and kind of do it that way. So that way the delay in the thermostat itself is longer for some of the systems versus others. But there's probably some low voltage ways to do it too. I'm assuming this is a home, and, some of the low voltage ways you could do it could get quite complicated. But I'm sure there are ways to do it on a low voltage standpoint, maybe having some sort of PLCs or even, just even some sort of sequencers, that control the power going to each thermostat, and the sequencers would have delays as well inside of those. So I'm sure you could get quite complicated, but whoever sets it up, you better hope that they're going to, service it as well, because the next guy is going to walk in and be like, what in the heck is going on in this house? This is very different than most residential stuff, so like a delay of sorts. Yeah. So maybe just the delay in the thermostats, you could manipulate that a little bit, and maybe that could help you. Ryan says my generator has that ability. Nice. Yeah, maybe like having a staged ATF. So when the automatic transfer switch flips back over, it only stages certain things, maybe. I mean, I don't know. So anyway, let's see. Let's go back to our segment where we ask you guys questions. And I like to play off of what I asked you earlier about the dirty van. My next question is, do you have any pet peeves when it comes to heating and air companies or just service people in general? Do you have a pet peeve that, you know, if they do this one thing, they're either done with you're either done with that technician, or at least maybe even done with the company entirely because they broke that pet peeve. Remember a few years ago, I had a customer tell me that they had just had their roof replaced. So they had to call us because the roofers had driven a nail and it had hit the line sets the way they had, we didn't install their unit. So the way the unit had been installed, you know, the line sets were too close to the roof and they drove a nail through the shingle and it hit the line set. And so we were out there talking to him and he was telling me that he had to run the roofers off the job because one of them was peeing on his house. The guy had to pee real bad and he rushed down the ladder and then he was peeing. And not only was he peeing, you know, in broad daylight on the guy's house. Cause to be honest with you, that wouldn't have bothered me. You know, if I hired a contractor and one of their guys was outside just peeing behind a tree, it's just the way I grew up. I grew up in the country. It would not bother me. But he said the guy was literally peeing on his house. Like he went down the ladder and then he was like urinating on the guy's house, on the wall. And it just really bothered him. So do you have any pet peeves? Would it bother you if somebody peed on your house? I'm sure it probably would, but do you have any pet peeves that just really bothers you when dealing with a contractor of sorts that would change whether or not you would want to continue to do business with them? Let me know in the chat. Ryan says, did you see my other question about Daikin and just can't talk about it? Did you just, Ryan, I don't think I did. Let me see if I can find it. Ryan. I might have overlooked it, pal. I don't see another question about Daikin. Ask it again. Because I don't see it. Not testing when they install a new product like a float switch or testing airflow for ductwork dampers. Yeah, that didn't show up on my end. I'm looking on, I'm not seeing any questions about Daikin. I'm not seeing any questions about Daikin or anything to do with float switches. So let's start over and just ask your question, because I'm not sure what exactly you're saying. Not testing when they install a new product. So I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. Gary says his pet peeve is dirty contractors handling my new white remotes. That's hilarious. Like, I paid all this money for this new mini split and I've get my remote for the first time and I don't even want to touch it. It's gross. Chad, welcome to the show, says, I don't care if they piss on my tire, house, whatever, as long as they do the job. Yeah, well, you know, as long as they do a good job, right? Bob says many homeowners won't allow roofers to use the restroom in their homes. Yeah, I had a customer years ago that I had a lady work for me, and they would not let her use the restroom. And I told them, then sorry, we can't work for you then. And I think there are exceptions to every rule. I think there are times when I've even said to customers, hey, I know this is unprofessional, but I just really need to go to the bathroom. Can I use your restroom? And I don't think I've ever had a customer tell me no, but this particular customer had told her no. And I don't know why. But it was more to the story than just that. But that was kind of the last straw, and I just told him, I'm sorry, it's not a fit. So but I can also understand when you get certain types of individuals, contractors, if you will, that don't take care of things, and they're not an upstanding individual, why you might not want them when, doing certain things in your house, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't allow those types of people in my house, but I've seen them on other job sites. So somebody's allowing them in there. So Ryan says that was my pet peeve about not testing products they installed. Oh, not testing when they install a new product like a float switch. Got it. Okay. Yeah, no, I did not see your question about Daikin. And I went back through the chat and I'm still not seeing it. So you ask that one again. But Ryan says his pet peeve is not testing when they install a new product. It's a good point. I had a guy years ago that he was having trouble really getting down how a float switch worked. And I'd always have to try to kind of explain to him, look, this switch, if it opens, it's got to kill power to something. When that switch opens, power is going to stop going through this other side, this other wire. And that's how you need to think about it when you're wiring them. And he just couldn't quite get it down. And so he would, instead of wiring them in series, he would sometimes wire them parallel. And the reason it became a problem, well, for obvious reasons, but I would tell him, look, when you're done installing it, just lift up on the float switch. You'll know if you installed it correctly because it should, kill power. So Ryan also says testing airflow for ductwork dampers. Jonold, hopefully I'm saying that right. Welcome to the show. The upsell at the end of the job, a contractor trying to sell an additional product or service that is unrelated or unsolicited. If they are genuinely trying to be helpful, that is a different story. So Jonold's saying the job's done. They're there to collect. It's time to give the check. But oh, by the way, before you sign that check, let me tell you about this great product. And wait, there's more. That's a pet peeve for Jonold. That's a good one. I like that. Jonold, your name, Jonold 505. That is my company, Griffin Air. 505. Our phone number has it's 50/50 air. So 505. Made me think of it. Yes, I'm a nerd. We're going to be wrapping up here in just a moment, guys. I told you it'd be a quick show tonight. I've got a bunch of stuff I got to do before I can go to bed. And then I've got to get up early and run down to a job site. And it's just got a lot on my plate. So we're going to be wrapping up here in just a moment. But before we do, whether you've been with us before or this is your first time joining us, do me a favor and drop a name of a good heating and air contractor in the comment section and where they're located in the country. You never know when somebody near you might see that and give that contractor some love. You're helping the contractor, but you're also helping others that may see your comment, because sometimes finding a good contractor is half the battle, right? So drop in the comment section, good contractors and where they're located. And let's give some shout outs to some good companies across the nation before we wrap up our show. Arch says contractors who want to install what they want and refusing to offer alternatives. I think that's interesting, Arch. As the contractor, so I'm going to play a little devil's advocate on this. I hear you, but I think there's also something to be said for some contractors to say, hey, look, I am only going to provide what I'm going to provide, and I'm not going to provide certain things for one reason or another. And I think that I could see both sides of the coin. I think that from the contractor's point of view, I see that, but I also, from your side, we have folks that will call us on our website newhvacguide.com, and we're helping them through the purchase of a heating and air system. And they call us for help. And they say to us, hey, we want one of these new inverter systems, but I've gotten 10 quotes. I've called 10 different companies, and only one out of the my entire area will even sell me an inverter system. I have very limited options. And so I can definitely see both sides of that coin. It's an interesting pet peeve you have there. Chad says, I can't remember mine. Gary says, take care, Josh. Got work next Tuesday, but should return the following week. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Absolutely, pal. Happy Thanksgiving. And that I was talking to somebody. Thanksgiving is like really early this year. Like it's on the 23rd. I guess because the 30th is the last Thursday of the month, and I guess Thanksgiving can't be the last day of the month. I don't know. But because of the way the days fell, Thanksgiving seems very early in November compared to some years. So I don't know why that matters. I just thought that was interesting. We're going to have a big gap between Thanksgiving and Christmas. One of the things we do that's unique at our company I don't know that it's that unique because I've worked at other companies that did it, which gave me the idea. But a lot of people that don't do heating and air find it odd. And so what we do is we offer all the same holidays to our guys that a lot of other companies do, except for one. And that is Memorial Day usually falls sometime in July and is starting to heat up near us. And I always give the guys the option to take the day off if they want to, but it's not a paid holiday. We don't pay them for Memorial Day. We usually work. But in return, so before you get mad, in return, what we do is we pay them for Thanksgiving, but we also pay them as a paid holiday for Black Friday. So every year they hate me when it comes Memorial Day. They're like, I hate working here. I hate this guy, But then come Thanksgiving time, they love me because they get a 4-day weekend. And so it's just something unique that our company does that I think some other companies do as well. And so anyway, I'm sure the guys are looking forward to that, getting a 4-day weekend. Todd giving a shout out to Efficient Heating and Air. And I'm going to try, but I'm sure I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. Walconda, Illinois. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that right, but shout out to Efficient Heating and Air. Todd says you're doing something right, and he wanted to give you guys a shout out. So shout out to those guys. Again, if you know of a good heating and air company, make sure you drop them who they are and where they're located in the comment section. We're going to answer our last question here. Ryan says the Daikin Altherma. Have you seen that before? All-in-one solution. Would like to see this bot. Ryan, no comment. Wink. I'll give you that little wink right there. No comment. No comment on that. Bob says, when I worked or other companies, I think your typing must have auto-corrected. I think that's supposed to say 4 other companies. I always had to work on Memorial Day. Yeah, me too. So maybe it's not as unique as I thought, but in return, we can't, we do this Black Friday thing. Chad says Veterans Roofing and Paducah. I'm sure I'm not saying that right either. Paducah, Kentucky. New GAF stain-proof shingles lifetime warranty, 14.5K. Remove old roof and new roof installed, and he does HVAC too, better than anyone. Wow. Okay. He's a roofer and a heating and air guy. So shout out to Veterans Roofing, who also does HVAC out there in Kentucky. Pretty cool. All right, guys. As I said, quick show this week. I've got one last question we're going to take here that Arch just put in the chat, but then we are going to wrap up because of just got so much on my plate. But we will be back next Tuesday, as always, 8:30 Eastern, and just find out what that is in your time zone. Arch says, Is that the name of the new Daikin Fit package heat pump? No, Arch, it's not. The Daikin Altherma is used in other countries, and it's a water to air source heat pump. No, I'm sorry. Air to water source heat pump. And it does a lot of really cool things. And we're going to be talking, well, no comment. I'm not going to go into that anymore, but that's what that is. And I'll do this again for you guys. So, and I'm not going to say anything else. So, yes, I know what the product is, though. I'll just say that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. We're here every Tuesday night live answering your questions. Quick show tonight. Make it a great week. We'll see you next week.